All right, we need to talk about art class, but I want you to forget everything you think you know about it. Forget the messy clay pots, the watercolors, all of it. We're about to dive into why the modern art class might just be one of the most important classes for our future.
Seriously, think back for a second. Maybe you loved it, maybe you dreaded it. But what if today's art class is less about drawing a perfect apple and more about, well, building a better brain? What if it's the essential training ground for the world we actually live in right now?
Because that's really the heart of it. Modern art education has totally evolved. It's not some nice-to-have elective anymore. No, it's a powerhouse for developing the skills our world is practically screaming for.
And this quote it nails it. The goal isn't just to churn out professional artists. It's to create thinkers, communicators, and innovators. It's really about teaching a whole new way of seeing and interacting with absolutely everything around us.
I mean, look at these skills. They go so far beyond the art room. Let's just take critical thinking, for example. When a student is looking at a sculpture, they're not just seeing a piece of stone. They're learning to break down an idea, to figure out what the artist was trying to say, to see how the form and the material create meaning, and then to form their own opinion about it. That's the exact same muscle you use to analyze a complex business plan or a news article. That's why this matters.
So how does all this happen? Well, it's not by magic. There's a really deep and deliberate method behind a great art class, just like in math or science. So let's pull back the curtain on the art of teaching art.
You know, the way we teach art has always been a mirror of what society needed at the time. It went from being a special craft for the rich, to serving the church, to this scholarly pursuit during the Renaissance, and then, finally, into our public schools. And today, it's evolving again, this time to meet the challenge of a digital, super-connected world.
I love this analogy. It perfectly captures what a modern art teacher does. They're not just showing you how to hold a brush. They are meticulously designing an experience. They're architects of curiosity. Building a space for creativity is almost guaranteed to happen.
And this blueprint shows you just how intentional it is. It all starts with a clear goal. Are we trying to build critical thinking today or technical skill? Then it thinks about the students themselves. What are they into? And here's the big one. It integrates technology. We're talking digital design software, sure, but also things like AI-MOOC, which are basically AI-powered online courses that can tailor lessons for every single student. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, so we've talked about the why and the how. Now for the fun part. Let's actually peek inside the classroom door and see what this looks like in the real world. What are students actually doing?
One of the key methods has a bit of a tricky name, Werkstattarbeit, or the workshop method. And what's so powerful about it is how it flips the roles in the classroom. The teacher isn't just lecturing up front anymore, they become a facilitator, a guide, a coach. And the students? They take charge of their own projects, learning by doing, exploring, and figuring things out on their own or with their friends. And that workshop method is just one tool in the teacher's kit. A great art class is this dynamic mix of all kinds of things. Yeah, there are still demonstrations, but there are also lively debates and critiques, field trips to see art in person, a real focus on building a professional portfolio, and even getting students to evaluate their own work and their classmates' work. It's all about active learning. And this is where it gets really cool. This is how art just smashes the walls between different subjects. Just imagine learning about a historical period not from a dusty textbook, but by actually creating a huge mural that captures its spirit. Or finally understanding a math concept like symmetry because you're designing a beautiful, intricate pattern. This is how you make learning stick. It shows kids that creativity isn't just for art class, it's part of everything. So, looking ahead, art education isn't just sitting still. It's facing some very real challenges, but it's also grabbing on to some incredible new opportunities to get the next generation ready for the future.
Now, of course, it's not always a walk in the park. Tight budgets are a constant battle, and making sure art is inclusive and culturally sensitive is a huge ongoing effort. But, and this is a big but, the opportunities are mind-blowing. Imagine students using VR to walk through a museum they designed themselves, or collaborating on a global art project about climate change with a school on the other side of the planet. I mean, that's the future we're talking about.
And this really brings it all home, doesn't it? The tools are changing, for sure. We're moving from paintbrushes to pixels, from clay to 3D printers. But the mission is exactly the same. Prepare students to think, to create, and to communicate in a world that's only getting more complex and more digital.
So when we talk about the new art class, we're not really just talking about art, are we? We're talking about the absolute core skills you need to thrive in the 21st century.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If this is what modern art class is really offering, a way to see the world differently, to think critically, and actually help create the future, shouldn't we all be valuing it a whole lot more? Thanks for joining us.